Hi everyone, it's Justin here with Voices for Voices. This particular episode, as well as all of our episodes, are now brought to you by Voices for Voices Audio. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching or listening, whether you are here in the United States or across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, repost, we would greatly appreciate that. If you can follow us on social media, we're everywhere. Voices for Voices. And if you're able to, uh, reach out to 25 or 50 contacts in your phone, let them know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast, and ask them to join and subscribe and all those fun and free things to do. So this particular episode, it is uh it's a little bit of a somber episode. I would I would say. Um, so we'll jump right in. Uh, I, I'm sure a lot of you watching and listening, either personally or know somebody in your family that you care about that may be declining in health, I guess, would be the way that I would characterize it. And sometimes uh sometimes we witness things and uh anyways, and so this is an area of trauma that I really haven't addressed for me. Um, so my grandma, uh, my grandma White House. So first, I want to start with a little bit of uh, I, I don't know if it's humor, but it's more uplifting than the other part. The other parts we're going to discuss all affecting mental health. Uh, so my grandma White House, my my dad, my dad's mom, uh, we went to we, she was declining in health. I don't know how much we knew it, or I guess how much I knew of it, because my family kept a lot of things from me, which is I look back and I'm given my emotional and the mental challenges I have. I guess it was probably better that way. Um, but there were a few times we'd go eat and and then we would stop at a local grocery store, and so I don't consume alcohol anymore. We've already discussed this at length. Um, however, drinking wine is apparently supposed to be good for you. Uh, what having in moderation, of course, is the key. And I remember a couple times, but I think one really stood out. So we so picked my grandma up, went to eat. I think we went to eat lunch, and then we went to the local grocery store because she was a firm believer, as I guess we all should be, is looking for a deal, looking for a discount. And so she was taking the advice of her doctor saying red wine's good for you. Wine's good for you. And it's crazy saying that because since I don't drink anymore, it's just those words just usually don't come out of my mouth really. Just kind of is helpful for me to just focus on other things. So we went to the grocery store, and on the way, my grandma was saying like, "Oh, you get a discount if you." I don't know. I think it was like if you got 6 bottles of wine, and then they give you like a carrying case. But the ones that she wanted were like the bigger ones because she wanted the quantity. So this wasn't one of these quantity stores where you get huge quantities and at a little bit of a reduced price per item, per ounce. And so we walked in and she was like, we got to go get, like, the only reason why we went to the store was for the wine because she was running out. And so she was drinking just a glass a day. And, and so we went and she's like, tell them that, I should get a quantity discount and I should get this carrier to be able to put the wine in. And it kind of just it made me chuckle just a little bit because of how adamant she was about it. But it makes complete sense. Make complete sense. If you find something that you use or drink or eat or what have you, and you're able to get at a quantity discount, and especially coming a holder, these are like the larger bottles of wine. So I don't know that 6 fit in there. I think it might have been 4. Anyways, she's like, they better give me my Like we're waiting in line, and they better give me my discount, because this is made the carrier's for 6, but I can only fit 4 in. Uh, and so we ended up getting the discount, and that's literally we took the cart and then went out to the car and then went back to her and my grandpa's house. My grandpa had passed at this by this point. Uh, and so her thing, one of the things she would always say to me is save your money, which is I think good advice for anybody. Uh, and and then the other couple things was she would tell me like, "Oh, I had like 2 glasses yesterday. I got out of hand," and so it's kind of a little bit funny. Uh, and then she would listen to jazz music, and oldies music, and that was what she liked to do, as the years progressed. Uh, she lived into her 90s, and unfortunately, you've heard me talk about it. She passed during the week before my wedding, uh, and so I was dealing with myself, and I knew she was not in great health, and That's one of my regrets is not being able to say, proper goodbye, give her a hug and a kiss, and uh, so to this day, that's one of these. I know we're not perfect. We can't be perfect. Um, I mean, to tell you how bad my anxiety was, to go get a haircut, it takes, because I think I was getting it, like, I wasn't growing it out like I have been recently. And so, like, a buzz cut, uh, maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so. And I had so much anxiety that I was like, oh my gosh, I have incredible anxiety. One of the reasons I did was because one of the companies that I resigned from, my barber was really good friends with an individual who worked at that company. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, because I had been getting asked questions about, are you okay? I heard you left your job. Is everything okay? And I'm not good at confrontation at all. And and so I had this like fear, and this was, I I mean, the odds of something drastic, catastrophic that was going to happen in those 10 minutes at the barber shop was very close to zero. Yet here I am. I'm I'm just beside myself. So fortunately, grandma passed out during the week before my wedding. Uh, and so now we get to back up the story a little bit. So prior to my grandma's passing, she was at a care facility. She was at a couple different ones, because certain things medically happen, and so start at the hospital, and then I'm gonna say like a step down from the hospital, I guess. But where we wanted her wasn't available. There wasn't a bed available, a room available for her, until there was. And at this previous job, I would, because of where this care facility is located, I would try to stop by because it was on my way home. I tried to stop by, even if it was just for a few minutes, if I could, right? And we look back and say, well, who doesn't have a few minutes, even if it's just sitting with a loved one. Forget the quality of conversation of that. Just sitting. I mean, I'm sitting right next to my dog that had surgery yesterday, and she's just resting, lethargic, but she's cuddled up next to me. And I know we can't talk to pets in real life, but she'll try to communicate with barks and growls and all that. So that I don't know what all that means, but right now she's recovering. And so just being in the same room, as me or someone in our family. My wife in the office, daughters at school. We're doing the show. And so I know how important just sitting and being with somebody. I mean, I remember multiple episodes talking about when I was in 2017 when I was coming out of the hospital, where my dad would come up. He would drive 40 minutes or so, and he would just sit with me. We wouldn't have to have a conversation for hours. We would just be watching. I think there was like some golf on and different things, uh, and so we don't always have to use words to show our presence or to feel like, oh, well, I didn't get a chance to talk to her or him, so my visit didn't matter. It's not that. So on one of these visits, I came by to visit my grandma, White House. Her health was declining, wasn't in the end days per se at that point that I'm referring to. And sometimes she'd be like, she would throw her food. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be like that someday. I'm going to be the person I like, she doesn't like it or whatever. She just pushed the tray away and that. But there's one thing that she did kind of like, and I said, "You want to go get some ice cream?" And so they had like a vanilla ice cream machine. It may have been chocolate too. In any event. And so that was kind of something that I was like, "You want to get some ice cream?" So after that, the staff was telling me that she was getting really worked up. She said my grandma said she wanted to leave. Uh, and she had her purse, which didn't have anything in it because given her health, uh, I think we had like a pair of glasses, and I think that might have just been magnified, because her eyesight had been declining rapidly. And so there was like a couple things. And so it was like the cutest thing. She would carry it. She'd be in her wheelchair, right? Because people progress and age and that their bones get more brittle, their strength decreases, and so people would be just sitting in their wheelchair, and that was just the way they were mobilizing. Or there was, lazy boy chairs that families would say, hey, not that it had to be a lazy boy chair, and lazy boy is not one of our sponsors, so I just wanted to share that. Um, and so the residents, a lot of them would be, there was this line of lazy boy type chairs where, right, like if your loved ones aren't going to be heading back to their home, there's furniture. And so a lot of people, they donate it. And that's a grand gesture is to, you know, donate something and that some people are going to be helped by. So it's usually wheelchairs or, a comfy chair. And so I came and this particular day, my grandma wasn't quite in the wheelchair. Uh, and so she had her purse and she's like, and so I'm there. And she says, "We need to get out of here. We need to get out of here. Let's go. Like, let's break out of this care facility, like James Bond or whatever." Uh, and I'm only laughing because it's like I can imagine myself doing that when I get older, being like, let's go, let's get out of here." And my grandma was just so worked up. Like she was just, it was just, it was hard because it wasn't like she said it once and then, we moved on to the next thing, like the ice cream or something else. She was saying it over and over again. We got to get out of here. Let's go. Are you coming with me? And I'm like, Grandma, like, we can't. Like, oh, the people here, they're helping you. Uh, so no, we can't go. And she goes, fine, I'll go by myself. I'm like, oh my gosh. And the staff was like, my grandma was kind of getting a little bit combative, like, come on, let's go. All right, you don't want to come? I'm going back to my house. And so I was tearing up because I knew she wasn't going back to her house. And in her mind, that's where she wanted to go, where she felt I mean, she couldn't drive. So there was really no way that she was gonna be able to go. And she was at a point where sometimes family members can take their family member to go get something to eat outside of the facility or maybe a celebration, like a birthday party or something. And so, you have to sign out and then you got to bring them back and all those things. But that wasn't going to happen, uh, unfortunately. And so I was tearing up because I'm like, she doesn't know she's not going to be able to go back home. Basically, where she was at was her home. So she was so worked up that the staff said you know, we gotta calm her down. And before I say this next part, first off, I have tattoos. They're used, there's needles used. When I have to get blood drawn, I don't like it. I always have to be laying down. It's not fun. It's just the way my body is. And one of the phlebotomists said, "You have all these tattoos." And I said, "Look, I'm telling you, I need to be laying down when we do this because I'm gonna probably pass out." Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Well, I almost passed out. I had a white t-shirt on and there was a little bit of blood on it, and I came to it. And of course, what does the phlebotomist say? Make sure next time you tell the person that's drawing blood about this. And I said, I told you, and you didn't listen to me. So there's the needles, the tattoos, the drawing of blood, all these things. So I'm already basically terrified of needles. Even getting uh, shots. That's what they are. We call them vaccines. Most of them are shots. Some help more than others. We're not going to get into that. We've already gotten into that, and we'll probably get into that topic another day, but not today. So, fast forward, I'm at the care facility. My grandma's being restless. Staff's like, well, we need to get her calmed down for her safety. Like, we don't want her to get like to hurt herself, like fall or run into something. Like I said, her eyesight was really bad. Um, and so the staff pulled out a needle and they said, this is, oh, what they say it was? Adrenaline. And I'm not a medical person, so I don't understand. I thought adrenaline is what you're trying to lower, but apparently getting a little bit of adrenaline helps calm down a person. I don't understand that. I'm just telling you what was happening and what happened. And so they said we have to get we have to get your grandma basically stabilized. And so I had to physically hold my grandma, not so hard, but enough pressure so that when they were going to give the shot, um, she wouldn't like move her arm and then draw and then cause blood and that. So they administered the shot of adrenaline, and I'm just thinking of all these different things as they come up, and today was one of those days where I had a ton of trauma from that. Number one, having my grandma being combative. I'm like, that's not my grandma. That she's not like that's not her. And then I have to hold her in place so that the staff could administer the adrenaline. Fast forward, 2024, early 2024. I'll bring it up just as one time. The turbo cancer, the COVID shot likely caused my dad to have the turbo cancer, stage 4, less than a year to live. And so my dad's on hospice. I'm sure a lot of you know what hospice is. If you don't, Google it. and Google's not a sponsor. So doesn't matter what search engine you use. And in my dad's final days, I'm just moving, get a little more comfortable here. There we go. Uh, in the last days of my dad being alive on Earth, because of the pain he was in, because of this stage 4 turbo cancer, one of the last kinds of medications that's administered is morphine. I thought it was only administered through an IV. So I don't even know why they brought that. It has nothing to do with it. But because we were afraid of my dad choking and the medical staff, we were starting to administer medication and towards or at the very end, one of them was morphine. Very powerful, very, very strong. Only usually used in a professional setting. It can be monitored, person can be monitored. And because we didn't want my dad to choke and chewing was out, he wasn't able to chew food very well. And that kind of goes with the choking, that if you get a little bit of food, he can't chew it up, and it gets it, tries to swallow. So it wasn't understanding as much as he always had been. And so the rest of my immediate family, we had to administer morphine, not in a needle, but in a syringe that looks like a needle. And I couldn't come to do it. I and so you kind of see the evolution of needles and the like through different experiences in my life. So what's that have to do with April 2026? Our puppy Lucy goes in for her um goes in for her surgery. She's doing very well. And then my family's never had a pet. Again, we had an outdoor dog from what I remember growing up. I don't know for how many years, but it wasn't many. Fortunately, he dug his way out of the fence, got struck by a car, trauma. So with Lucy, after her surgery, I picked her up. There's antibiotics for her to take uh, because of pain, infection. Uh, it's obviously more lethargic. I mean, any of us would be after any type of surgery. Take a while. Like right now, it's part of it is or part of our lethargic is the anesthesia that's working its way out of her system. And so here we are again and we've done it with our daughter with antibiotics and, other medication with a syringe. And so now we have 4 syringes, 4 days of antibiotics for for her, as well as she has a little cone on her head to help her, because as we're finding out, I don't know if cats are the same, but dogs like to lick themselves. And so this helps with um, the stitches and that to uh, be healing and not have them lick themselves and then, get an infection or have the stitches come out or that. And so this episode's been a lot of anyway, so that's that. So just to kind of wrap that up with syringes, needles, and that up till now in my life. And so when I saw those when I picked Lucy up yesterday, it took me automatically back my mind to those different times that I shared earlier in our show. And I I believe that I've gotten some trauma from kind of each one of those. Uh, Even with our daughter, we're administering medicine, and I'm sure I was probably the same way when I was growing up, throwing just going, no, I don't want it, and then just being so upset, and then somehow, some way, I would take it. And so it's the same way with our child, but she doesn't like taking it. Again, we're not talking about the same exact medicine. We're just talking about through the syringes. My grandma and me having to give blood for testing and that, and tattoos, those are needles, and then the other ones are uh, syringes. So why did I bring up all this for our show? One, it is real life. Two, these are hard topics to really verbalize and to share, but we do cover hard topics and we do share them. Third is it deals with mental health and trauma that 10 years from now, I'll probably be the same way. If I see needles or syringes or it's just one of those things where it just takes my mind back uh, to these events, these experiences. And so I just want to say it's okay. It's okay to have these feelings. It really is. Don't worry about what anybody else says. You do what you need to do, and that's all needs to be said. So thank you for joining us on this episode of the show, brought to you by Voices for Voices Audio. Again, thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, repost, follow us on social media. We're everywhere. Download our entire catalog, which we're now over 400. Actually, this might be our 485th episode, actually. Pretty sure it is. And if you're able to, you can donate at lovevoices.org, lovevoices.org, and that is lovevoices.org. And you can also reach out to 25 contacts in your phone. Let them know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast, built as a foundation, as the pillars of mental health, trauma, recovery, and helping people. And our gigantic goal is to reach and help at least 3 billion with a B, to reach and help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. So thank you for joining us. Look forward to having you with us for additional shows. And you can download our catalog all the way up until now and continue. And episodes will just drop into your app, and you'll just be able to pick which ones are interesting, topics, guests. So thank you. We value you. We're grateful for you. You're the reason we do this. And so we'll talk to you on our next show. So let's celebrate the voices of the world, and let's be a voice not only for ourselves, but somebody else in need. Bye bye for now.